What is going on, everyone? It is Tal, and I'm bringing you my week 1 team builder for our match against the LA Lake Spirits. Now, I have never done just a team builder video, but felt like I was kind of rushing it a little bit in all of my videos and kind of wanted to, give you guys a little bit more explanation through my thought process and whatnot, so that you guys, if you're trying to learn, can get some out of it, and I can really explain what I'm trying to bring instead of just having to rush through it. So, if you haven't seen the full draft video, be sure to check that out. Also, if you don't watch the whole thing, completely understand, but I'm going to give you a little bit summary of my team for this one, just to go through it. We are running like a pseudo rain team. This is an almost any ability draft, so we have our Zapdos with the Drizzle and No Guard ability, our Chaladon with the Swift Swim and Primordial Sea ability to get those Electroshocks up. Screamtail has Pixelate and Purifying Salt for an offensive and defensive mode. Hisui and Arcanine has Refrigerate for that extreme speed, and Magikarp for stuff like Head Smash, Life Orb, Flare Blitz, Wild Charge, so on, and also so it doesn't take any of those spikes or Stealth Rock damage. Blastoise has an offensive ability and defensive. It's running Regenerator, and it's running Beads of Ruin. Umbreon with 2 defensive abilities in the Fluffy and the Prankster. Landorus Incarnate with the Desolate Land and the Aeolite. Registeel with 2 defensive abilities in the Earth Eater and the Well-Baked Body. Cresselia running the Unaware and Stamina abilities. Muck running both of the Ruin abilities that are defensive in the Vessel of Ruin and the Tablets of Ruin. And our final mon is Cacturne with the Grassy Surge and Adaptability. So, a lot of different modes we can go here, a lot of mons that can be really defensive, a lot of mons that can kind of mix it up between offensive defense, and some mons that are just straight offense no matter what. So going into this match, we're facing Beal, who is also part of the IPSL days. If you don't know, IPSL was the first ever draft league I did way back when. That is where Hero came from, Yoshi Blaze, so some big people who I'm still friends with from this day from almost a decade ago. So yes, so Beal known for a really long time, and facing him for the first time in I don't even know how long. It's been a really long time. And he's got a really scary team. I think he's got one of the best teams in the entire draft. Starting off with that Great Tusk with the Scrappy and Regenerator. Scrappy really doesn't affect us as much. We don't have an Intimidate Mon or a Ghost Mon, so that doesn't really affect us. But he can run the Regenerator so that he, can take a hit, get out, and, heal up a bit. Great Tusk doesn't have great forms of healing. Volcarona is actually banned in most AAA, which I didn't know going into the draft, but it is allowed here, and Desolate Land and Magikarp are the 2 abilities that it is deciding to have. Desolate Land, of course, making it so Primordial Sea would be a little bit harder to run because it can switch in on our Chaladon and, click a Fiery Dance or whatnot, and Magikarp so that like Stealth Rock doesn't affect it and whatnot, so it can run a item instead of having hazards be kind of a focal point of its downfall. Ogerpon Cornerstone hits really hard with that Rocky Payload with its Ivy Cudgel, but then at the same time can hit really hard with any of its moves with the Sword of Ruin ability. So those top 3 are really, really scary on the offensive end, can really hit like a truck, and also have different forms of healing. Morning Sun on the Volcarona, which gets boosted by the Desolate Land, Regenerator on the Great Tusk, and Synthesis on the Ogerpon Cornerstone. So a lot that I have to worry about right then, and then even going into his later picks. Scizor has the Well-Baked Body ability, which makes Hisui and Arcanine's time a little bit more difficult, as well as Landorus Incarnate if I wanted to run a Desolate Land Weather Ball set. Scizor can kind of sit on that, but then it can run the Technician, which it normally gets, but it's still pretty good just for bullet punches into stuff like the Screamtail or Bug Bites into the Umbreon or the Cacturne. So just a lot that we have to worry about with that. Super offensive Azelf here can run Expanding Force Psychic Surge, which is really good into my whole team, barring Umbreon, Cacturne, and Registeel. And I don't include our Chaladon in that because it still takes a lot from that. It's our Caladon or our Chaladon. I may just be saying our Chaladon. If it's wrong, let me know in the comments. But I'm pretty sure it's our Chaladon, but it could be our Caladon. Not 100%, but Rodent Wash is next, can run the Primordial Sea. which could be really good if he wants to run like Thunders or whatnot, as well as just have the fire immunity while also turning off the Desolate Land from opponents. Don't really think that's going to come. I think more likely Levitate is going to come just because of the threat of Hisuian Arcanine and Landorus with Earthquakes, as well as Archaludon, which can run some ground coverage. Alolan Muck is really scary here. Earth Eater can be scary, but Vessel of Ruin is really good into our team. Our team is very special heavy, so it's going to be really interesting to see if he runs Earth Eater or Vessel of Ruin. Kind of determines how we want to play around it. I played against Vessel of Ruin. I did play against Earth Eater with Assault Vest, so kind of both of them. I don't mind facing Earth Eater Assault Vest. I think we can kind of deal with it, and then he can't Toxic us, which is kind of nice. But the Vessel of Ruin, we can kind of deal with some of our Mons, so gonna have to keep an eye on that. Sylveon with 2 really defensive abilities, Intimidate and Tablets of Ruin. Don't really see it coming. We do have a Registeel and an Archaludon on our team and a Muck, so we have some pretty good offense. And just on the offensive end, physically offensive end, excuse me, we don't really have too many options that we want to bring into this team, so I just don't really see it coming. Galarian Moltres is next, and this is a Mon that is a huge problem for our team. Has the Serene Grace for Air Slashes and the Fiery Dance, so it could flinch us like constantly, which I need to take into account, but it also has the Sheer Force, which you can use with the Air Slashes or the Fiery Dances, so we kind of need to bring a Mon that can take the hits, but also be able to either be faster or, you know, not get flinched by a lot of those attacks. The final 2 Mons are Magneton and Wigglytuff. Wigglytuff running a super defensive and kind of mean abilities with the Prankster and Unaware. Could run like Wish or Thunder Wave or Disable Encore. Could do that if he really wants to bring it. And the Magneton is super offensive with the Hadron Engine and the Refrigerate. So going into this battle, there was a couple Mons I knew I had to bring, and there was a couple Mons I knew I couldn't bring no matter what, just because of the matchup. But I knew that going into week 1, I had to bring my boy Zapdos. Now, Zapdos coming in here, it's going to be running the Heavy Duty Boots item. We are very defensive. When I mean very, I mean full-on defense. So, we're running the Hurricane, the Zap Cannon, Roost, and Volt Switch. I believe that we're actually running No Guard instead of Drizzle, so that is my mistake. That is why we're running the Zap Cannon. First slide, and already a mistake, but it is all good here. We are running the No Guard, though, so that we can hit those Zap Cannons and Hurricanes. We're not running the Drizzle just because of the Desolate Land on the Volcarona and how it could be kind of an issue, but we are max defense. This is to have a good matchup into the Great Tusk. In Mox, Great Tusk and Scizor were really hard to go into, as well as Mons like the Alolan Muck. So I want an answer into that. I think also just being able to pair stuff with that Zap Cannon, such as the Ogerpon or the Volcarona or Azelf, could be really, really good. Hurricane is almost specifically for that Tusk, as well as for the Volcarona. Everything else really isn't too affected by it, so I'm going to be wanting to click Zap Cannon a lot or Volt Switching. So this is going to be our main answer into the Great Tusk, into the Muck. If he, you know, because he is very specially inclined. Ogerpon Cornerstone kind of does click against this team, but we do have some answers. If he also decides to go in the route of a physical Azelf, then we can just stay in on it, because our other Mons don't handle physical hits as well in every capacity, but we'll get to that. So max HP, we're running a bold ability, max defense, just 4 in the special attack. Really didn't think I needed any speed, because I don't think his slower Mons are going to run any speed investment, and I don't think his faster Mons are going to be, you know, just running kind of an awkward amount of speed investment. So the next one coming up here is our second ace here in the tank in our Archaludon. We are running a choice spec set with the Electroshot, Flash Cannon, Draco Meteor, and Roar. We're max HP, max special attack, Primordial C. So this is a big answer into the Volcarona offensively and defensively. If he does have the Desolate Land up, we can just come in on that, have the Primordial C, start clicking Electroshocks. The only downside about this set is that I can't spam Electric Shock due to the Great Tusk, but his team doesn't have a solid fairy outside of Sylveon, and I just don't see the Sylveon wanting to come in on this, and I don't see the Sylveon coming into this matchup, period. So I think that we can kind of click Dracos, and then when it gets to it later in the game, can click Electroshock. Didn't really know what to do for the last move, so I decided to go Roar, possibly if he gets set up pretty heavily on a Mon and I just really don't want to deal with it, or we get knocked off. Do I anticipate us ever clicking Roar? No. Is there the possibility? Yeah, I thought I would click Roar more in, another attacking move. I didn't see another attacking move that I really wanted to click here. So this is a big answer into Mons like the Volcarona as well as the Ogerpon. Even though Rocky Payload, Ivy Cudgel will still do a lot of damage, we would kill it with a Flash Cannon, and that's pretty good to know. Draco Meteors just kind of click against his whole team into the Volcarona, into the Azelf, into the Rotom. It's a big answer into the Rotom as well, because if he does run the Levitate, we wouldn't really have offensive pressure into it because of the fact that our Landorus is the only Mon outside of Cacturne that would have super effective into it. So if it does run Levitate, and spoiler, we're not bringing Cacturne this week, and I'll explain why in a little bit, even though the matchup wasn't terrible. But I do think that Urchalodon has a really good matchup into this week. Just to click moves, I originally had an Assault Vest set, and I decided to go against it just because I felt like the extra bit of damage into a Mon like Great Tusk or Muck, because I do think that they're one or the other or both will run Assault Vest, and I think it could be pretty big to just have some sort of burst damage and then switch out, and also have the Primordial Sea. Third Mon we are going with is our Hyper Special Attacker, another Choice Specs user, but this Mon just clicks against his entire team. This is Screamtail. This is the reason we picked up this Mon. It is Pixelate with Boom Burst. Now, you may be thinking, hey, Screamtail only has base 65 special attack. Is it really going to do that much damage? And the answer is yes. The calcs are crazy. This does insane damage into Tusk, into Ogerpon, into Azelf Rotom, even especially defensive Rotom, we two-shot. So that's just huge. He really doesn't have a switch into this unless it's Volcarona or Scizor. Scizor may also have to run the Well-Baked Body just for this. I don't see myself clicking Flamethrower very much. I anticipate that we're just going to be clicking Boom Burst unless it's a very particular situation. I also don't anticipate that we're going to click Expanding Force, but to be honest, I just didn't really see a better move because I think we're just going to be clicking Boom Burst. But Tom Pass is there just if I want to get some momentum. If I think he's going to go into the Volcarona, but I'm not 100% sure. Can always click the Baton Pass, could also take a hit. Still has really good defenses. We're not running really any defenses except for 4 HP, 4 special defense, which isn't really much, but we can still take hits pretty well just from our natural defense. Now, the speed here is specifically to outspeed a max speed Ogerpon corner. I do think that he'll probably bring a lot of speed investment for that Mon just because of the other Mons that we have in the back. So I do think he's going to run a lot of speed on the Ogerpon Cornerstone, maybe even a Trailblaze Swords Dance set. Not 100% sure, but either way, having enough speed to outspeed that is huge. Now, we don't outspeed his fastest Mon in the Azelf, which is something that I have to take care of later, which I'll explain with the next Mon. But still, Boom Burst with Screamtail with the Choice Specs item, this Mon is one of my late game answers. I don't really anticipate bringing it in until more of the later game, just because it kind of cleans up everything pretty well. And there was a lot of games where I was down to just Screamtail in a 1v4, click Boom Burst 4 times, and that was it. That was the game. We also take a Shadow Ball from a Life Orb Azelf pretty well. It is a 2-shot, but it only does like 60%, and we could kill with a Boom Burst. His team does have some bulk, but it also has a lot of Mons that just die to Screamtail. There's not a lot of good offensive fairies in the game, period, but in this format especially, because Mons like Iron Valiant are banned and Enamorus are banned. So the most offensive fairies are this and Primarina, and this hits a lot harder than Primarina with its Boom Burst. So I'm so excited to try this. This is like the 3rd or 4th draft I've had Screamtail. Usually I'm using it in a defensive role, but this time it's going to be more offensive. It's going to look like Boom Burst. Could have run Calm Mind with some like Life Orb set, but I just thought that the Choice Specs item on this was just so vital to just getting in, clicking, and, just killing something. Now, I needed something to outspeed a lot of his Mons like the Azelf, and so we are going to be running a Choice Scarf Landorus. We are running an Aerialite set, so we have the Pixelate and the Aerialate. I think I just said Aerialite. I mean Aerialate. We're running U-Turn, Body Slam, Earthquake, and Rock Slide. Now, a lot of times when people see Landorus, they assume it's going to be a special set. That's due to the Sheer Force Life Orb set that people are very accustomed to. where moves like Earth Power and Sludge Bomb get boosted and Psychic get boosted by that Sheer Force Life Orb boost, but here we can actually run more physical sets, and that's really big for our team. Landorus has a base 125 attack stat, and that's going to be really important into a lot of his mons who want to run either Assault Vest or a lot of special defense. Great Tusk is the main thing that we're going to be coming in on. He cannot outspeed us with a Scarf Great Tusk, which is really good, or even a Rapid Spun Great Tusk. We have enough speed to outspeed a max speed Volcarona if he's +1. So we could run a Scarf Desolate Land set. It is possible. Do I see it coming? No, but I want to outspeed him even if he's +1. I want to outspeed the Azelf because I don't anticipate a Scarf Azelf. And even if he does bring a Scarf Azelf, we do have some other answers into that. The rest is into attack and a little bit in HP and special defense. The Body Slam does turn into a flying type move, so we do have stab on that. So that's going to do huge damage into the Great Tusk, Volcarona, even the Ogerpon, and just general a lot of stuff. I mainly see ourselves clicking Body Slam and Earthquake. Earthquake is really nice into a non-levitating Rotom Wash or a non-Earth Heater Alolan Muck. And this is also pretty big into Galarian Moltres if you want to run Body Slam or the Rock Slide, which also will do a ton of damage. The plan of attack for the game is to actually lead off with this. He may think it is a Stealth Rock set, possibly, but I'm going to lead off with this. If he leads anything that's not the Azelf, I will just U-turn. If he leads the Azelf, I may be forced to switch just because if he is Scarfed, it's really bad for me if he goes for an Expanding Force and knocks us out. So that would be the only case. I do think he may lead the Azelf. I think a Tusk may also lead. But I think if he leads Tusk, we will have to do some calc, see if we want to stay in, because a Life or a Ice Spinner would kill us. So we just want to be a little bit wary of that. Maybe just U-turning almost no matter what. But really excited to try out the set. Landorus is one of the ones I've been really excited to try out in this league. This and Screamtail are two of the biggest ones. And yeah, I think it's going to hit really hard and do some work into this matchup. Second to last mon here is going to be a super bulky Registeel. We're bringing both of our flyings and both of our steel types. This mon is super duper specially bulky. This is an answer into the Volcarona. Volcarona cannot touch us. Also an answer into the Great Tusk. We get some iron defenses up, and it's big, but also mainly this is an answer into the Muck. If he's an Assault Vest Muck, he basically can't touch us because he can't haze us. If he is an Assault Vest Muck and wants to haze us, it is fine, but it will just be a little bit harder to beat it. But then we know that he's not Assault Vest, and then we can hit it harder on the special end, because I don't see him not running Assault Vest and not running Earth Eater. So if he runs Assault Vest and Earth Eater, then we can beat it with this. If he's running Earth Eater but not Assault Vest, then we can beat it with this. If he's running the Vessel of Ruin and Assault Vest, then we could beat it with something like Landorus. And again, if he's running something like the Vessel of Ruin, we could beat it with Landorus. So that's kind of like the checkmate position, is like he can't really get around Registeel and Landorus as a combo, but it does mean I need to keep them both alive. If they're not both alive and Muck can kind of get rolling, the issue is that it isn't that Muck does a lot of damage, that it just kind of sits there, and it can either heal up with a Drain Punch if it really wants to, or if it's Black Sludge, it can kind of heal up that way. So I kind of need a way of getting around it. There's a couple different ways I have of getting around it, but I do need this Registeel and the Landorus to be alive. This is also an answer into mons like the Rotom Wash. We are very specially defensive, but Volcarona is going to be a big thing into this. Volcarona actually has a terrible matchup into us, just because we are bringing mons like the Primordial Sierra Chalona, or bringing Well-Baked Body on the Registeel. Even if he gets some Quiver Dances up, the only moves he can really go for are like Bug Buzz or Giga Drain, and that's just not going to do much into a max special defense, Careful Nature, or excuse me, Calm Nature and max HP Registeel. So we are running the 4 speed just because I do want to outspeed Muck. In some mocks I was having, both Muck and Registeel have the exact same speed stat, so just to make sure that we can outspeed it, if he wants to run 4 speed as well, so be it. I just don't want to sacrifice even more into that EV. The final mon that we are running this week is going to be a Covert Cloak Umbreon. We are running this almost specifically for the Galarian Moltres. I did not think Umbreon had a great matchup into this week. We are running Fluffy. We can, from a max attack Great Tusk, we can take 2 close combats from it, which is crazy. And then we can either Wish Up or Wish Baton Pass or get some healing or Foul Play or Toxic. any of those are avenues that we can go down. But the main reason that we have this for the Galarian Moltres, he can't hit us very hard. We are very specially defensive. His air slashes and the fiery wraths are going to do nothing in us. We can toxic and just stall out with Wish. Not the mon I really wanted to bring this week, but it's for the Moltres and also for the Azelf so that he cannot spam the expanding force with the Psychic Surge. We can't bring Cacturne this week just because it doesn't have a great matchup into Scizor and Volcarona and Muck. Into a lot of other mons, it actually had a really good matchup, and I really wanted to bring Cacturne this week. Did really well into Azelf, into Great Tusk, into Rotom, into, you know, a lot of his top mons, but just the issue was I didn't think I was going to be able to get it going because of mons like that Scizor, as well as the Scizor, the Muck, and the Volcarona especially. So running Umbreon instead. Covert Cloak, very interesting item. I remember I was mocking with Yoshi, and he's like, I could bet my house you're running Covert Cloak, and I was running Leftovers. I'm like, why would I run Covert Cloak? And he's like, because of Fiery Wrath and Air Slash. I'm like, you know what? Fair. Before I even did a mock, I threw on Covert Cloak. So that is going to be the team for this week. Really excited to try this out. Let me know what you guys think about doing a team builder like this. I know this video is actually 20 minutes, and I got to explain a lot more than I normally do. So if you guys like this more than you like the other just kind of rushed into it and going straight into battle, this should go up on Saturday. Team Builder should go up on Saturday, and then the video should go up on Sunday unless the battle happens on like Saturday or Sunday, and then stuff may be pushed back a little bit just to make sure my opponent doesn't like see what team I'm bringing before I actually go into the battle. But yeah, that is the team for this week. Really excited, and yeah, I will see you guys in the next video, the battle. Peace out, everybody.